Since the headlines today want to talk about Blake Lively and what her driver said, I thought it would be a good time to go through the rest of Blake Lively's witnesses and their depositions. Grab your emotional support lip gloss. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. Hello and welcome back to this channel. My name is Mandy Magnan. I'm an actress, writer, producer, director in Toronto, movie reviewer, pop culture, and your YouTube commentator for everything. It ends with never. Wow, it definitely does end with never. Is anyone else feeling a sort of like Blake Lively fatigue yet? Or are we still standing strong and fighting for justice for Justin and the Wayfair parties? There are some days where I'm like, oh my God, will Judge Lyman just come back and dismiss this case already? Let's go. Like the lies and the gaslighting and the lies and how her lawyers just seem to double and triple down, even though we know now that it was so unethical and illegal for even it to begin with by stealing Jen Abel's communications through Van Zandt. So it's like, what? Y'all have some unclean hands, beginning with Taylor Swift. Right? How she ambushed Justin Baldoni and then helped Blake Lively collude with the New York Times. I mean, it's all just too much. And the way that they're just doubling and tripling and 10 toes down is like the audacity. Every day I'm trying to find it from these people. I have some pretty exciting news though before we get into the depositions. My agent just called and I have me a little callback tomorrow afternoon. So please send love, send prayers, fingers crossed. I'm going to obviously try to book the damn thing, but wouldn't that be so cool? Ending the first month of 2026 with a booking. I mean, the auditions are already the win, and then a callback is like, okay, I'm close, but a booking is like, oh my gosh, let's do it. So that's happening tomorrow at 1, but I'll still be here after and doing an episode and stuff after that. So I'll let you guys know how it goes. It's always super cool to get in the studio and work with the director and the casting directors, because since like 2020, everything is pretty much self-tapes. So you just record it. Like I have a studio here and I just record my tapes and then you send them kind of out into the ethos of the world. And sometimes you really don't know, like, did it even make it to the director? Like, did they even see my tape? And previous to self-tapes, you'd go in for the audition and you would see the same like 5 to 10 actresses for me, or if you're a man, the actors and stuff, because they were only seeing about, 10 to 15 people for the role. So when you're, in the good books of the casting director, you get to make a lot of relationships with other actresses and other actors, and you get to work with the director right away and the casting director. And it was so fun. And then everything switched to self-tapes, and it's kind of like, you just have to do it with your own instincts, no direction, nothing like that. So I'm definitely super excited to get in that studio tomorrow, work with the other actors, work with the director, and I'm just pumped, y'all. I'm pumped. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's my day. That's my good news. Okay. I hope y'all are doing well and you have some good news to share as well in your lives. But let's just talk depositions yet again. I'm going to, in this video, be going over most of Blake Lively's witnesses that she has. So we'll start with and then in the next video after this, I'll be doing WME and Sony. And then somewhere along the way, I think probably tomorrow we'll tackle Jones and Van Zandt, as well as tomorrow there is a longer deposition, and that's from Justin Greystone. So I'll have those 2 videos for you tomorrow as well. And then that kind of wraps everything up in Wayfair Lively, sort of like the most important depositions and the most important text messages and emails. And then we got to talk, because also Stephanie motherfucking Jones made a reply too, but I think I might do that with Van Zandt tomorrow if y'all are just up for that, okay? Right now, let's just go over the deposition of the driver. Here you go. I just got some energy today, so I don't know what's about to happen. Now, I did already kind of debunk some of the things that he was saying about pointing to Justin's house and stuff yesterday in the little short video, but let's just read through the full deposition as is so you can, get the info. And this is from the file 1230. So if you see 1230 at the top, that's from Blake Lively. So that's the thing that she put in as one of her exhibits. However, like good old Blake Lively, she doesn't just use excerpts that she has pulled in her motion or that she uses in her motion. She likes to just put pages from people that make her look good in good light. Like there's depositions in there that are kind of like 80 pages, but she only refers to certain ones in her motions, whereas the Wayfair people only pull exact pages that they need. I just thought that was kind of interesting in general, but here it is. It starts actually on page 37 of his deposition, and his name is Alexander something. Mr. Alexander. John Alexander? Kevin Alexander. There you go. Kevin, what do you got to say to us, brah? Here we go. It starts with midway through the convo. Conversation that happened in the car ride, but right now my question are just about this paragraph that I read. Did you ever hear Mr. Baldoni discuss his personal sexual experience? Objection. Yes. Did that occur during the car ride? Yes. Did you ever hear Mr. Baldoni discuss a porn addiction? No. Did you ever hear Mr. Baldoni try to pressure Miss Lively to reveal details about her intimate life? No. Now I'm going to read from paragraph 92 of the complaint. And again, if you want me to hand it to you so you can read it, you just let me know. What? They're going to read him what Blake Lively said and then he has to agree to that? Isn't that kind of like, I got to look this up. That seems kind of sketchy. Yeah, see, I knew all my time watching Law & Order and SVU and murder shows that would pay off one day. That is called leading the witness. In law, it refers to an attorney asking a question that suggests the desired answer, putting words in the witness' mouth, which is generally forbidden during examination or questioning even your own witness. That's very interesting. Okay. We continue. I guess they're going to lead the witness. During a car ride with Miss Lively, her assistant and driver, Mr. Baldoni claimed to Miss Lively that he had been sexually abused by a former girlfriend, which he has since shared publicly. I'm going to stop there. Where did the car ride start? Like what destination did everyone get into the car? The apartment. And without giving me the address, what apartment are you referring to? By that, can you give me a borough, uptown, downtown, Tribeca? And is that your employer's apartment? Yes. What time did the car ride start? I would say midday. Is that before noon or afternoon? Roughly right before noon. And were you already present at the Tribeca apartment when everyone got into the car? I mean, had you been waiting? And then it cuts off. Who told you that? Blake? Did Blake say anything else to you other than this is Justin? No. Did anyone else get into the car other than Sophia, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni? No. Where was Sophia sitting in the car? Front passenger. And where was Miss Lively sitting? Strong side behind me, behind the driver's seat. And that would leave Mr. Baldoni in the rear passenger? Rear passenger behind Sophia. What type of car was it? Escalade. And do you know who owned that vehicle? Walker's Holding. And what is Walker's Holding? That's what I know. It is on the insurance card. It wasn't your personal vehicle. No. And where were you going? I know you picked them up outside the apartment in Tribeca. Do you know where you were heading? To Jersey, to a production office. When was this car ride? Can you give me the month? Springtime 2023, I can recall. Did you make any stops along the way from Tribeca to New Jersey production office other than traffic stops at lights, stop signs, things like that? No. Did you pick anyone else up along the way? No. How long was the car ride from Tribeca to New Jersey production office? 20 to 25 minutes. Oh, that's pretty good. No traffic that day? Was the radio on during any portion of the car ride? Objection. No. And it was during that period of time where you heard Mr. Baldoni discuss his personal sexual experience. Is that correct? Yeah. Did you hear Mr. Baldoni discuss anything else during that car ride? Yes. Can you tell us what you heard him discuss during the car ride? He was discussing his sexual relations with women. As we were driving, he stated that if it took my focus off driving, because I can't forget this, you know, his sexual relations with women, how he was forced on and he forced himself on women. To me, it was very out of the ordinary to meet someone and talk like that in a vehicle. That's why it caught my attention. Basically, he kept talking about his sexual relations. And again, like, I'm repeating myself, I believe, but he would force himself on women and they said no, this, that. He would revert back and it was just disturbing. Anything else that you can recall? Well, while we were driving, for some reason, he pointed out his place of living. I'm sorry? His place of living in Jersey City as we were driving. I remember that. He, for some reason, had us pause, and then we got to the production office, which was down the road from that area. I pulled over, let everyone out. I stated to Blake, I feel very uncomfortable. Something is not right here. I would like to do a background check on him or something, and later to learn that he was the producer in the production of the movie. How did you learn that? Basically, when I brought up his name, everyone was like, he is part of the movie, Well, I shouldn't say it that way. Like Sophia and Blake said, that's the production guy. That movie? Okay, do you recall anything else discussed during that car ride other than what you have already told us? I can go through it again. It just got stuck in my head. It's just basically, I'm not asking you to repeat yourself. I'm asking, did you leave anything out? Him having sexual relations, force himself on women, women force themselves on him. It is straightforward, standard. What went on in that car ride? He did ramble on about more stuff, but I didn't pay attention to it because I was focused on driving. It is those key points when someone says, forcing myself on women forced on me. I didn't care. It is disturbing to me. You can't forget something like that. Okay, so that is mainly it. Okay, did his tone of voice or volume of speaking remain the same during the car ride, or were there periods of time when his voice was amplified or he started to talk lower or something else? Objection. I don't recall. When in relation to them getting into the car, did he start to discuss those topics that you just raised? Objection. And if it's not clear, was it right away? Was it 5 minutes in? Was it closer to the production? Then it skips. Need to be on heightened alert or do anything different? Objection. Not that I recall. I have nothing else. I have just a couple of questions before we go off record. Mr. Alexander, you testified earlier with respect to a conversation in a car ride with Mr. Baldoni when he said something to the effect of that he forced himself on women. Do you recall that testimony? Yes. Do you recall Mr. Baldoni also sharing during that car ride something to the effect of he would force himself on women when they said no or he did not consent? Yes. Mr. Baldoni's statement after that car ride, you found them disturbing, right? Objection. Yes. You testified this morning that you found Mr. Baldoni's statements in the car ride disturbing. Yes. Why? Who talks like that on your first car ride meeting someone when other people are present? That's why I can't forget that conversation. It was very out of the ordinary. You found it out of the ordinary from Mr. Baldoni to discuss forcing himself on women when they did not consent. Objection. Yes, and sexual comments that were passed inside a vehicle with other women. You testified also that you expressed to Miss Lively that you did not want her to be alone with Mr. Baldoni. Is that right? Yes. And was that true to what you were feeling at the time? Yes. Why didn't you want Miss Lively to be alone with Mr. Baldoni? Due to the conversation in the vehicle, the stuff he spoke about, sexual relations, forcing himself on women, no consent, or he didn't give consent for a woman to force it on him. It's disturbing to me when you are first meeting someone and it just stuck out, and that's why I stated what I stated. You stated it was disturbing to you when you first meet somebody. Did you also find it disturbing that Mr. Baldoni would speak about forcing himself on women without consent to Miss Lively at any time, even if it wasn't their first meeting? Objection. Repeat that. Would you find it appropriate for Mr. Baldoni to speak about forcing himself on women without consent? No. To Miss Lively, even if it wasn't the first time they met? No. Nothing further. I have a few follow-ups, I'm sorry. You said it was the first car ride. Do you know if this was the first interaction between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, or was it your first interaction with Justin Baldoni? It was my first, and I don't recall if they were before the fact. I know you didn't read the book, but at that time, did you have any understanding of what this movie was about? No. Did you have any understanding that it was about domestic violence? And then it skips one page. Why does it skip one page, Blake Lively? Take following that car ride To ensure that Blake Lively would not be alone with Justin Baldoni. Objection. Repeat that question? Sure. You said that you did not want Miss Lively to be alone with Mr. Baldoni going forward after the car ride, correct? Correct. Objection. What, if anything, did you do to ensure that Miss Lively would not be alone with Mr. Baldoni going forward? Objection. I don't recall. Did you consider yourself a driver security, or something else? Objection. A driver security. And as you sit here today, those are the words you recall Mr. Baldoni using, that he forced himself on other women without consent? Yes. Anything else you can recall specifically that Mr. Baldoni said in that car ride? He had women force themselves on him as well without consent, but was part of the car ride a back and forth scenario. And did you hear any context for why he brought this up? Objection. Not that I know of. Okay, thank you, sir. Off the record. And then it says continued on next page, but it definitely isn't. So he's saying he's this driver security. He doesn't remember any of the other conversations. He thought it was disturbing that Justin pointed out his house, even though we know now that Blake used to ride around with Ben Affleck pointing out his house. Okay. Also, when it comes to Blake Lively saying it was just too much, he was the producer, director, actor, and writer. Guess what? Ding, ding, ding. So was Ben Affleck on The Town when Blake was 21. But it was okay because she was allegedly having an affair with him, right? When he was with Jennifer Gardner. So that was fine because she was sexually charged and with Ben at the time. But because Justin wasn't giving into it, you know, he's weird and creepy and disturbing. It's funny that he said it was a back and forth conversation, but yet doesn't say anything that Blake said. And it was obviously that Justin wasn't just talking about him putting himself onto women, that women used to also do that to him, right? So it's a full circle conversation. It's not just about women. And it's interesting the way it cuts off on certain parts, especially at the part where it says, Blake told you that, and then we don't hear anything else. Well, this to me sounds coached. How can you remember all of those things and then don't remember anything else in the conversation? And as a security guard, if you were so threatened by Justin Baldoni, why didn't you do anything? Where were you when all of this sexual harassment happened? Where were you when she was in the trailer? Because she was alone with Justin a lot after that. So take it or leave it, but that's his deposition, at least the excerpt that we got. Next, we're going to go through Vivian Baker. We have one of the excerpts from Blake Lively. It's rather long, or a little like 20 pages. And then Wayfair also put in a little excerpt for them as well. So first, we're going to go over the excerpt from Vivian Baker that Blake Lively filed. And it starts on page 46. And the questioning attorney is Kristen Bender for Blake Lively. Okay, so the people asking the questions right now are Blake Lively's team. Do you understand whether there was a human resource individual or department in connection with It Ends With Us? I was not aware if there was someone designated specifically. And putting aside whether someone was designated, did you have an understanding of whether there was a person who was performing that function on the set of It Ends With Us? I did not. Did anyone ever tell you who you should go to if you had concerns related to the film? Objection, no. And did you have an understanding of who you should go to if you had any human resources type concerns related to the film? I have to take a lot of tests like this for my union to be part of the union. So, you know, we have a general idea. Ding, ding, ding. Everyone on set knows who they should go to. They're acting like they're supposed to be this big human resource, like you're working at the freaking, you know, some kind of hotel like the Four Seasons or something, or, you know, in a building office, but it's set. And when you're an experienced person on set, like Blake Lively claims to be, you know that you have PAs, production assistants, first AD, second AD, third ADs, you have the producers, you have executive producers, you have your union rep, you have your agent, you have your manager, you have, God, there's a lot of people, okay? There's a lot of people around, and you're supposed to go there. And on the call sheet, which I'll show you that they do have call sheets put into the exhibits, and it does have a hotline for any kind of complaints, okay? So, sorry, I digress. Sometimes it just gets me so fired up because it's just like, come on. But at least she's saying, she knows who to go to, or at least that's what I think she's about to say. I have to take a lot of tests like this from my union to be part of the union. So, we have a general idea that it would be, someone with the studio or production. So other than that, I was specifically aware on this movie, no. And in connection with this particular film, did you have an individual in mind when you referenced someone within the studio or production? Objection. At the time, yes. No. Did you have a perspective on how long a typical makeup routine might take for a leading actress during the production of a film? Objection. Like how long it normally takes the team to get her ready? Yes. Oh, yes, of course. An hour and a half is a bit on the fast side. It usually can go up to 3, and then it skips. I don't know why they would skip. Okay. Time to go put on clothes, or we can just, get her done and get her out. In your experience, did leading actors provide input on their wardrobe? Objection. Yes. And would they provide input on their hair? Yes. Would you, in your personal opinion, view these as creative contributions? Yes. Would Miss Lively give you comments on your area of makeup expertise on the film? Would Miss Lively give you comments on your area of makeup expertise on the film? Yes, in the collaborative way. It's common because they're performing and they may understand their performance, and that can weigh in on the choices that I am making. And so in the collaboration is needed, it isn't an intrusion. And to the extent that there were differences of opinion during that process, how would they resolve? It has been my experience that those difference of opinions are usually always resolved with what is right, because there is what is right for the screen and what is right for the story. Was it unusual in any way to you that Miss Lively provided input on wardrobe, hair, and makeup on the set of It Ends With Us? No, not at all. And did you observe that Miss Lively engaged with others on the set in the creative process? I don't know that I could give you a specific incident. It's very vague, but she's very creative, and we're in a creative process with a bunch of creative people, so that's a very common thing to happen. Okay, we've been going about an hour. Are you okay with a break? Whatever you need to do. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. Sure. Oh gosh, not after an hour. Then it skips and we go all the way down to page 71. And when in a case when someone knocks but then proceeds to enter and you say don't come in, did people typically heed that request and not enter? Oh yeah, objection, absolutely. Is that something that you would expect people to do on set? Is that something that you would expect people to do on set? I've never seen it in any other way in many years. Do you recall Mr. Heath ever entering Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer? Yes, I do. And do you recall whether he did so with permission to enter? Objection. Could you re-ask the question, or sure. Do you recall whether there was ever an instance when Mr. Heath entered Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer without invitation? Objection. Yes. There was a time that he came to enter and there were myself and Anne, and Blake was like, no, I'm not dressed. No, don't come in. And I would like to discuss this situation in a little more detail. From your recollection, did Miss Lively say Mr. Heath is coming over to discuss something? Oh, no. And do you recall whether there was a knock on the door by Mr. Heath? My memory is vague. I think there was a knock. What I remember most specifically is all 3 of us. So there must have been a knock saying, no, don't come in, and no, don't come in. It was quite loud so that they wouldn't come in. It was myself, Anne, and all Blake saying it at the same time. Miss Lively, yourself, and Miss Carroll all heard a knock and said loudly, don't come into the trailer. Mouthing many times, yeah, no, not now, we're not, like each person participated in the, don't come in. And at that point in time, did you know who was at the door? No. And what happened next? They came in. Okay, and was Miss Lively, can you describe for me, set the scene for me, where you were, where Miss Lively was? Miss Lively had come in and removed her clothes, and they were handed out the door to costume or someone there that they would take the costume. And I believe she was only in underwear, and she sat down in the chair, and she had the baby. The baby was given to her. And I thought, I'm pretty sure the assistant had left, and we began to do our work. And then the knock came on the door, and we would say, no, don't come in. So she was quite scantily clad because we had just removed her costume, and we were going to clean her up. So there wasn't a state. I mean, I think we were, as I said, we're always very cognizant on how much, we get people off the clock so that they can get a turnaround. So we were just busily working. So I would have been to her right, but facing her. And I believe Anne would have been to her left, facing at her. Okay. And so at this point in time, Miss Lively is wearing underwear, but no clothing. That's correct. Okay. So her breasts were exposed. Absolutely. And where was Miss Lively facing? Was she facing the door? Was she facing the mirror or somewhere else? She was facing the mirror. Okay, and what was she was standing? Oh no, she was seated. She was seated. Okay. At this point in time, did you have an understanding of who entered the trailer? After they opened the door, we all saw that it was Jamie, and and Blake said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember her saying, I'll talk to you about this later. Like, let me go and get ahead and move on. I'll get dressed. We'll talk about it later. And I think he said something to the tune of, no, we'll do it now. And I have small towels, like, a little small towel that I think that I finally just threw over the other breast because he didn't leave the room. And was Miss Lively holding her baby at this point in time? Yes, she was breastfeeding, I believe, at her right breast. Okay, and so was Miss Lively's left breast exposed? Yes. And did she turn around to speak to Mr. Heath when he entered? No, it was done through the mirror. So at this point in time, had Mr. Heath been asked to leave? Of course, he was asked to not even come in and then asked to go. Like, once you enter into the room and you see that, oh, this is an inappropriate time to be there, you would naturally leave. Did Mr. Heath leave? No. What happened after Mr. Heath did not leave the trailer? I think that they had whatever their discussion was. I don't remember the words. I became very focused on getting my job done to get her out as quick as possible. Do you recall? It sounds like Mr. Heath and Miss Lively engaged in some sort of discussion at that point in time. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. Do you have a recollection of where Mr. Heath was standing for this conversation? He was standing at the door with the door still mildly open. So the door was probably open maybe a foot, and he would be obstructing that opening. But nonetheless, the door was open. He didn't come into the room to close the door. He was still in the doorway. And the door remained ajar for the entirety of the discussion. That's correct. Okay, and did Miss Lively ask Mr. Heath to face any given direction during the course of their conversation? I don't recall that. It was an uncomfortable situation, and I focused on what I needed to do to help get her in a state of, where that she can leave and finish up my job. And so were you attempting to work quickly? Yes. Do you recall what direction Mr. Heath was in fact facing, or at that point were you just more focused on your work? No, I was aware he was facing, the door was open out, so the door would be partly behind him and he would be able to look at her through the mirror. And do you recall whether Mr. Heath in fact looked at Miss Lively through the mirror? Yes, I remember him engaging in a conversation, the conversation he wanted to have in that manner. Yes. Okay. Could Mr. Heath see Miss Lively topless if he looked in the mirror? Yes. And it's your testimony that Mr. Heath was in fact looking in the mirror. He was looking in the mirror. Do you know whether that conversation between Mr. Heath and Miss Lively was conditioned on him not looking at Miss Lively? I don't understand the question. Do you know either way whether Miss Lively said she would engage in a conversation Mr. Heath if he had turned around? I don't have any memory of that. Do you recall whether Miss Lively asked Mr. Heath not to look at her? I definitely have a memory of things similar, but not specific at that point. It was like I said, it was an uncomfortable situation. Uncomfortable for him. Well, I was uncomfortable in that, yes. Have you ever witnessed this type of interaction play out of any of the prior film sets of which you've worked? Objection. No, I have not. I've never witnessed anyone being asked to give a moment while someone can get dressed. They've always been accommodating. Do you know whether Miss Lively confronted Mr. Heath about looking in the mirror? I don't have a specific memory at the time of what she may have said to him then, and I don't know what she may have said to him later. Do you know whether Mr. Heath denied looking at Miss Lively while topless? I'm not aware of that. Did Mr. Heath, to your recollection, offer any explanation for why he would not leave when asked? This is a vague memory, but it seemed like I have a recollection of, I'm not going to have this conversation now, I'm going to wait, and that could have been given. I felt uncomfortable as, something I wouldn't have felt I should have been a part of anyway. Was Mr. Heath Miss Lively's boss? Yes. And when you say the situation made you feel uncomfortable, can you provide any additional color or detail into how you felt during that encounter? Objection. Well, we were in a situation that was obviously vulnerable because there was no clothing and requests had been ignored multiple times to not come in. And I would think it best someone would at least turn their back, which didn't happen. And so whatever conversation they had to have seemed to be serious enough that it felt like maybe it wasn't a conversation for my ears. Does that make sense? So I didn't know, there were lots of reasons for it to be uncomfortable. So I just became professional to try to do the things I needed to put her in a position where she could have clothes on. Did Miss Lively seem upset with this interaction? At the moment that it was happening, I was aware that it felt like a violation, but I think that Anne, myself, and Miss Blake were just like, it was just being handled. You know what I mean? Like we were, let's get this. There was no reaction, so to speak of, no reaction. It was just like, let's get this handled so we can get out of this uncomfortable situation is what my memory recall is that we did. And do you recall after the fact discussing the encounter with Miss Lively or Miss Carroll? After he left, wasn't much of a discussion, but it was certainly eyes open, mouth dropped. I think I said, I've never seen anyone do that before. Anne may have agreed with me. I think that we were all really just in a state of shock. We just finished our work and let Blake get out of there, but there was not a discussion per se. Did you perceive the interaction with Mr. Heath that we just discussed in Miss Lively's trailer to cross any boundaries? Of course. And did it cross a boundary that you had not observed on other film sets? Yes. Do you recall any other times that Mr. Heath arrived unannounced to Miss Lively's trailer? Not anything specific, and certainly not anything quite like that. Over the course of the production on the film, did you or Miss Carroll take any steps to prevent unannounced or uninvited entries to the trailer? Because of where Anne was stationed and where she worked very closely to that door. She told me that she began to lock the door, and it wouldn't necessarily be all the time because the ADs needed to come in. And so you wouldn't, or Blake's assistants may need to come in. You wouldn't necessarily want to have the door locked because then you're going to have to open it. But there were times that I think she decided if we're definitely going to be in a place of undress, she may lock the door. We were also in a hurry, but it's a little unusual to lock the door, but Anne began to lock it from time to time. And that was to protect Miss Lively's privacy. It would protect some people from being able to come in without us opening the door for them too. And then it skips. Blake indicated or told us that he showed her a photo of his phone and it was a close-up of his wife's vagina beginning to crown. And she indicated, I shouldn't be seeing that. Don't show me that. And then I think in a kind of way to offset it, she goes, does your wife know you're showing me that? And he made some remark that, I don't remember what the remark was. That was kind of dismissive of her trying to say, like, don't show me that in a nice way, like, don't do that. And that remark was dismissed. And Miss Lively is a mother herself, right? Yes. Did it surprise you that Mr. Heath would be showing a birthing video to Miss Lively as a mother herself? Whether she was a mother herself or not, it didn't matter. It was like surprising at all. And did you find that to be an appropriate encounter? I would find it to be a completely inappropriate encounter. Is there any other behavior, inappropriate interactions involving Mr. Heath or Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lively on set that we have not discussed that you can recall? I mean, not anything that I can keep in the front of my memory. It's not something I usually like to think about on a regular basis, but not anything at the moment. Do you have an understanding whether Miss Lively was disturbed or distressed by any of the interactions that we've discussed today? Oh, yes, I do. I think that she was very taken aback and very like This isn't appropriate behavior and it became as an actress needing to do her job. This, this can create in a way I understand. I mean, no, because I've been in this business for a while. The intimacy and the collaboration and the work taken to do scenes with your leading man when we have love-making scenes and we have abuse scenes, and then also as your director, the level of trust there is pretty intense. And the story really is, and then it skips. Now, this is Miss Garofalo, and I surely wouldn't know whether or not she was breastfeeding on that occasion, clothed or with her breast exposed. Correct. Okay, and I think you told us that Mr. Heath knocked and opened the door. That was immediately after the knock, is that right? Best of my recollection, and yes, and we had, before the door was opened, we were screaming, "Don't come in!" Okay, and when you say we were screaming, who was screaming? Myself, Blake, and Anne. Okay, and do you know whether Mr. Heath heard you through the door? Well, I think that's why we were talking very loudly. It's something that we do a lot. You do that a lot to stop people from coming in? Yes. Okay, and did Mr. Heath strike that? Then it skips. And you did a fine job, I might add. Do you have any knowledge about street relations or Mr. Wallace that relates to the film It Ends With Us on which you worked? I do not. And then Mr. Glover passes the witness, and then it goes back to Blake Lively. Before we go off record, we have a few follow-up questions within the scope of the questions that we have posed to Miss Baker. So if we could go off the record and switch seating, that would be great. Miss Baker, do you have any specific recollection of receiving an HR training from Wayfair? I do not. Then it skips. Do you have any specific recollection that the discussion Mr. Heath insisted on having with Miss Lively in her trailer that day was about the movie? In our trailer that day, and he asked me one more time. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. Sure. Do you have any specific recollection that the discussion that Mr. Heath insisted on having with Miss Lively that day in her trailer was about the film? I don't actually know what it was about. I just made a speculation. When Mr. Heath entered the trailer and you and Miss Carroll yelled, "No, no, no," is that right? Including Blake, we all did. Is there any conversation that you can imagine, whether about the film or otherwise, where it would have been appropriate for Mr. Heath to enter after being told not to enter and being asked to leave? Objection. I cannot imagine any reason why someone wouldn't. I mean, I can't imagine why he would have come in. There's not a reason that I have experienced that would not give a few minutes anyway to be in a more decent position. Do you have a specific recollection of what Miss Lively was wearing during the birthing scene? I definitely remember post the scene with the baby. And no, I mean, I've done scenes with her before and I know she likes to be covered. But I guess the truth is, if I think about it, I don't really remember. It was very kind of chaotic, and I didn't have the need to be that involved in the set, so I was pulled further away than normal. I mean, I was there, but there's a lot of different beats happening, and if I didn't have to be there, I wasn't going to be there. I would like to show you what's being marked as Baker Exhibit 1. Exhibit 1 for the record, please. So these are 2 screenshots from the footage of the film that were produced in this litigation. I believe they're from May 22nd, scene 1 of 6. And can you let me know when you've had a chance to review? Yeah? Yes. Does this refresh your recollection that Miss Lively was not wearing cut-off sweatpants during the filming of this scene? It does. Do you recall that Miss Garofalo asked you a series of questions about a photo or a video that Mr. Heath had shown Miss Lively? Yes. And was it a photo or was it a video, do you recall? Since I didn't see it, it was my understanding it was a video. And that was a video of a woman's vagina? That's correct. Okay, no further questions. What I find very interesting is that they can only remember the parts that Blake Lively put in her CRD, but they don't remember anything else. And to the fact that she's still saying that Jamie Heath barged into the trailer and wasn't invited, I would like to refute that with Exhibit A from my own evidence, produced by Blake Lively herself. I mean, at least try to get your story straight and not just go by what Blake Lively has changed in now 3 times in her complaints. But she does talk about it, Blake Lively, in Blake Lively's own deposition. Okay? She says, he unexpectedly came to my trailer, knocking on the door and said, "We've got to talk." I said, "We can't talk right now. I'll be there in a few minutes. I'm getting done as fast as I can so we can have this meeting." He said, "Oh no, we've got to talk now." From where? I said, I'll meet you in there in a minute. I'm undressed. I'm getting ready for the meeting. I'll be there in a minute. And he said, if we don't meet now, we can't do that meeting. And that meeting was very important to me because it was to discuss other behavior I had experienced early that day that was concerning to me. Just to let you know, this is day 2 of the set, okay? Day 2, she wants to have a production meeting. So I said, okay, fine, you can come in. So, I don't know, but Vivian Baker is saying they were all yelling, don't come in, don't come in, don't come in, no, 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 no. And then he just came in and he kept the door open. But in Blake Lively's own words, she said, okay, fine, you can come in. So, which is it? And he came in and I said, okay, you can come in, but please don't look. Can you turn around? So he faced around and he faced the wall. And I was in front of the hair and makeup mirror as my team was working. They call it double teaming, da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden when she turned around, I guess Jamie was facing her. So none of the stories are adding up here. And in Blake Lively's own deposition, it doesn't even match what she put in her complaint. Just something interesting. This is the part of Vivian Baker's deposition that Wayfair filed. It starts on page 82. Mr. Heath arrived unannounced to Miss Lively's trailer. Not anything specific and certainly not anything quite like that. Over the course of production on the film, did you or Miss Carroll take any steps to prevent unannounced or uninvited entries into the trailer? Then she goes in to talk about how Anne sometimes locked the door, not locked the door. It would protect someone from being able to come in without us opening the door for them too. And then it skips to 149, a page we haven't seen before. And it starts with conversations. Is that an accurate description? It is accurate. It's also accurate for me to be that way prior to, and then it's completely redacted. It says Blake Lively's lawyer is objecting. And then she says, of course not. Okay, did you ever see Steve Saritz on the set of It Ends With Us? I wasn't aware if he was. Okay, you met Mr. Saritz though, is that correct, during the production? I'm not aware of meeting him. I may have, but I'm not aware. Okay, so then I assume it's correct that Mr. Saritz did not make any sexual advances to you during the filming. That would be correct. Okay, he didn't do anything that you deem inappropriate in connection with the production of the movie that you witnessed. Is that correct? That is correct. Objection, objection. That is correct. Was it your impression that Miss Lively didn't like Mr. Baldoni very much? Object. Generally, that was not my impression. Did Miss Lively ever criticize Mr. Baldoni's skills as a director to you? I'm not aware of that. Okay, so you don't recall any instance in which Miss Lively complained that he was incompetent? And then it cuts off. So I don't know what that redacted part is, but okay. It just makes sense now to move to Anne Carroll because she's the other person that Vivian Baker was talking about. Vivian Baker. Okay, so this is Anne Carroll. This is the deposition excerpt that was provided by Blake Lively. It starts on page 53. In the first phase of production, yes, can you describe for me what you recall about the occasion on which Mr. Heath arrived to Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer? Yes. Do you want me to describe, like, sure, go ahead and ask your question. Like the whole, the sort of moment, like the whole morning, or why don't we do it this way? If you could, it sounds like there's a certain occasion on which Mr. Heath's arrival to Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer sticks out in your mind. Is that right? Yes. Can you please describe for me that moment at which you understood Mr. Heath was arriving to the trailer at the point at which Mr. Heath exited the trailer? Okay. Blake was having body makeup done in the trailer by Vivian. We heard the door open and looked and went, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it was Jamie at the door. I had grabbed a cutting cape, which was over my chair, and held, what the fuck? All three of their stories are totally different. She's saying she put a cape over Blake. Vivian Baker said she threw her a little towel. Blake Lively said she was completely topless, but she told Jamie to come in. Vivian Baker said they were screaming, don't come in, don't come in, don't come in, and he came in anyway. She's saying that he just walked in. Blake Lively said she told him he can come in. Who's telling the truth? Where's the truth? I mean, I know all of our memories are a little bit, we have our own, we put our own filters in our memories and, for self-preservation and protection stuff when we recall things. But okay, so let's just continue this. Oh my gosh. I just feel like no one has their story straight, Okay, we were having body makeup done in the trailer by Vivian. We heard the door open and looked and went, whoa, 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 and it was Jamie at the door. I had grabbed a cutting cape, which was over my chair, and held it up to try to cover her. And she said, Blake said, whoa, whoa, don't come in. And he said, it will only take a second. And that's when all of the action kind of was happening. He stayed in the trailer, they had a discussion, and he left. Did you know that Mr. Heath was going to be coming to the trailer when he did? I did not. Did you have an understanding that Mr. Heath was invited to the trailer by Miss Lively? I did not. Did you understand that Miss Lively did not expect Mr. Heath to come to the trailer at that moment? Objection. Say that again, sorry. Did you have an understanding that Miss Lively was not expecting Mr. Heath to show up at her hair and makeup trailer at that moment? By her reaction, yes. Did Mr. Heath abide by the protocols of knocking on the door that you described earlier today? No. Vivian says he knocked. Blake says he knocked. She's saying he didn't. Did Mr. Heath ask for permission to open the door into Miss Lively's private hair and makeup trailer? No. You stated that you, Miss Lively, and Miss Baker verbally indicated something to the effect of whoa, whoa, whoa when Mr. Heath was opening the door. Is that right? Yes. And did you, Miss Lively, and Miss Baker give a loud verbal indication that the trailer was occupied at that point in time? I believe we were speaking loudly. So you had an understanding that Mr. Heath heard you when you said something to the effect of whoa, 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 as he was entering her private hair and makeup trailer. Sorry, objection. Yes. And did Mr. Heath nevertheless open the door to the hair and makeup trailer? Yes. Now at this point in time, where was Miss Lively situated in the hair and makeup trailer? She was towards the far right of the trailer, standing. And standing? Vivian just said she was sitting. And which direction was Miss Lively facing when she was standing in the trailer? I don't recall. Do you recall what Miss Lively was wearing at that moment in the trailer? Either nothing or a nude thong. Miss Lively's breasts were exposed in that moment? Yes. And Miss Lively was generally undressed and unclothed? Yes. And was that one of the reasons why you and Miss Carroll and Miss Lively indicated that Mr. Heath should not enter the trailer at that point in time? Yes. And would you have expected Mr. Heath to heed that request? Objection, objection. I don't know why he would have come up. Mr. Heath walked into Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer while she was unclothed, without knocking, without permission. Correct? Yes. Like, we just read the other depositions. This one is not matching Vivian's, and Vivian's doesn't match Blake, and Blake's does not match Miss Carroll's. So who's telling the truth? And that was after you and others loudly tried to stop Mr. Heath from entering the trailer. Objection. We verbally said, whoa, 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 yes, don't come in. Yeah, I don't remember saying don't come in, but we were like, whoa, 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 just a minute, warning him. And at that point, Mr. Heath stayed. Is that right? Yes. And where was Mr. Heath standing for the remainder of his time at the trailer? I am not completely, my back was to him, so he was behind me. And was your back to Mr. Heath because you were standing with a cloth to cover Miss Lively for modesty? And then it skips. OMG, guys. Trailer for encountering without permission? I don't remember that. Do you recall why Mr. Heath was at the trailer? Objection. I don't. And you believe it was unclear to Mr. Heath at that point in time that Miss Lively was in a state of undress? Objection to form. Join. Can you ask that again? Sorry. Do you believe that it was clear during the course of the interaction between Mr. Heath and Miss Lively that Miss Lively was in a state of undress? Objection. Yes. And from your perspective, do you think that would have been clear to Mr. Heath himself once he stepped up into the trailer? But nevertheless, at that point, he stayed in the trailer. Yes. Given your understanding of where Miss Lively and Mr. Heath were in the trailer, if Mr. Heath had looked into the mirror, would he have been able to see Miss Lively's breasts exposed? Objection. You can see the room when you look. I mean, you can see into different parts of the rooms through reflection. Yes. And so from where Mr. Heath was standing, if Miss Lively was facing the mirror, Mr. Heath could have seen Miss Lively's breast exposed. Is that correct? Objection. He would be able to see her. Yes. How did this interaction between Mr. Heath and Miss Lively and Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer make you feel? Uncomfortable. It was strange. You found the interaction between Mr. Heath and Miss Lively uncomfortable and strange. I felt uncomfortable and strange. And why did you feel uncomfortable when Mr. Heath came to Miss Lively's trailer that day? I guess because he had warned him, he was in a state where nobody else should have seen her in that way, and he stayed. So it was a strange interaction. And you testified as well that the interaction made you feel strange. Yeah, uncomfortable and strange. Had you ever seen that type of conduct from a producer on a film set before? I have not. And would you expect to have seen that type of conduct previously? Objection. It's not my experience that has ever happened of any of the sets I've worked on before. Did you view that conduct by Mr. Heath as inappropriate? Objection. Yes, I do. I'm not sure what the purpose of the meeting was, so I don't know. I don't know why he came. I don't know his motivation to coming into the trailer. Can you think of any meeting that would be so important that Mr. Heath had to come into the trailer uninvited and stay while Miss Lively was undressed? Objection. I don't. You cannot? I cannot, yeah. Did Mr. Heath's unannounced entry to the trailer happen on more than one occasion? I don't recall. The incident that we were just discussing is the only instance that you recall in which Mr. Heath arrived unannounced to Miss Lively's trailer. Is that right? Yes. When Mr. Heath exited the trailer that day, did you discuss the incident with Miss Baker or Miss Lively? Yes, we did. And what do you recall about the discussion? Vivian just said they didn't talk about it. Blake, said to us, he was staring at me in the mirror, and I just recall being sort of flabbergasted by the whole experience, Were you shocked? Yeah, shocked. Yes, sure, shocked. Did Miss Lively appear to you to be distressed or shocked by the incident? Yes, she was agitated by it, and yeah. And how could you tell that Miss Lively was agitated by the incident with Mr. Heath in her hair and makeup trailer? Just by her actions, feeling uncomfortable and just actually saying the words, he was staring at me, in the mirror. I can't believe it. Just shock. You perceive Miss Lively to be shocked by the interaction with Mr. Heath? Yes. When Miss Lively stated that he was staring at her in the mirror, did you understand that to mean that Mr. Heath had viewed Miss Lively's exposed breasts in the mirror? I can't speak to her exposed breast, but to a nude body and a visual of her unclothed. A visual of her unclothed? Because she gave her a gown. Oh my gosh, okay. And to be clear, your recollection is that at that point in time, Miss Lively was wearing nothing more than potentially a nude thong? Correct. Did you perceive Miss Baker's reaction with the incident, from the incident with Mr. Heath and Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer? Yes. And did you perceive that Miss Baker was shocked or uncomfortable in any way? Yes, we all felt the same way. And by we, you mean Miss Lively, Miss Baker, and yourself. And myself, yes. Did you ever discuss the incident with Mr. Heath and his hair and makeup and in Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer with anyone beyond Miss Baker and Miss Lively? No. Did you at any point in time take steps to prevent the uninvited entry of individuals into Miss Lively's private hair and makeup trailer? Objection. I did. And what were those steps? I started locking the door to the sliding door between the two sections of the trailer. That was always locked while we were processing her. After that incident, I started locking the exit to the outside as well. In your experience on other film sets, did you commonly lock the doors to a private hair and makeup trailer? We usually lock the sliding door if there's a sliding door that separates the trailer while processing, that is usually locked. Vivian, if you remember, just said they don't ever lock it. And in your experience on other film sets, did you or someone else typically lock the outside entrance and exit to a hair and makeup trailer? It can be. And on this occasion, with respect to It Ends With Us, your locking of the door for outside access to Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer was precipitated by Mr. Heath's conduct. Yes, I wanted to prevent that from happening again. You wanted to keep Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer a private and safe space. Correct. Do you recall Mr. Baldoni ever entering Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer without invitation? I don't. Do you recall either way? I don't recall either way. Did other individuals beside Mr. Heath on occasion enter Miss Lively's hair and makeup trailer? Yes. And was that typically by use of knocking protocol that we discussed earlier? Yes. And in other words, it was with consent of Miss Lively that individuals would enter her private hair and makeup trailer. Yes. Did anyone other than Mr. Heath on the set of It Ends With Us enter Miss Lively's private hair and makeup trailer without her consent that you can recall? Not that I can recall. Did you ever read the script for It Ends With? Then it skips. Yes. Do you recall witnessing Mr. Baldoni ever improvise scenes on the set of It Ends With Us? Yes. Do you recall witnessing Mr. Baldoni improvise scenes on the set of It Ends With Us to make them more intimate? Yes. How did Mr. Baldoni improvise scenes on the set of It Ends With Us to make those scenes more intimate? Objection. By more kissing, dancing, being closer, to Blake physically. And you witnessed those interactions when you were observing the actors filming a scene, is that right? Yes. And I thought I heard you mention the word dance. Do you have a particular scene in mind where you witnessed Mr. Baldoni improvising intimacy? Yes. And what scene is that? Then it skips. Matter of the scenes that being filmed, how you exposed an actor may be in that scene. And to be clear, did you think it would be important for certain scenes to have a close set based on your vast experience in the film industry? Objection, experience as a hairdresser. Say that again, yes, there should be times when there are a close set. Was the birthing scene in connection with It Ends With Us, in your view, an intimate scene in any way? Yes. How was the birthing scene of It Ends With Us intimate in your view? Objection, by the way. The position that the actor Blake would have to be in. And can you describe Miss Lively's position in connection with the birthing scene? She was in a hospital bed that had stirrups, and her legs, both of her feet were in the stirrups. So Miss Lively would be lying on her back with both of her legs in stirrups spread apart. Is that correct? Yes, correct. And in your view, that was an intimate position to be in? Yes. Do you think that simulating childbirth is an intimate type of scene? Objection. Yes. And do you find simulating childbirth to be a vulnerable type of scene to perform? Objection. Yes. And do you find simulating childbirth an intimate type of scene to observe? Objection. It can be, yes. And was the birthing scene in connection with It Ends With Us intimate? Objection. In your view? Yes. The birthing scene was in a hospital. Is that right? I believe so. You believe so? Where else would it be? Where else would it be? I believe so. It wasn't, for example, a home birth. No, it was at the scene took place in a hospital room, yeah. And so did you have any understanding arriving to set that day as to what Miss Lively would be wearing in connection with the birthing scene? Yes. What was your understanding as to what Miss Lively would be wearing in connection with the birthing scene when you arrived on set that day? A hospital gown. And why was it your understanding that Miss Lively would be wearing a hospital gown? Because we had discussed, I knew that it was in a hospital, so she'd be wearing a hospital gown. And also as far as body, and then it skips. And funny enough, it skips when they start going into exactly what she was wearing on that day. I don't know if this person was an actor or just a friend, so therefore I do think that it was, I thought it was inappropriate. It is your understanding that the OBGYN in the scene was Mr. Baldoni's friend, is that right? Yes. And as the OBGYN in that scene, Mr. Baldoni's friend would be seated or standing between Miss Lively's legs. Yes, at the end of the hospital bed. And Miss Lively's legs would be in stirrups at the time. Yes. And her legs would be spread apart. Yes. And so the OBGYN would have a clear view of Miss Lively's genital area. Is that right? Yes. With respect to what Miss Lively was wearing during the birthing scene, did you have an understanding that at any point in time, Miss Lively was wearing virtually no clothing from her waist down? Can you repeat that? With respect to what Miss Lively was wearing during the birthing scene, right. Do you have an understanding that at some point in time, Miss Lively was wearing no clothing, essentially from her waist down? From what I could see on the monitor, that's how it appeared. Yes. And did it appear that way because the shots that were being filmed would require that Miss Lively not wear, for example, shorts or other clothing that would appear on film? Yes, to make it realistic, she wouldn't, yes. Okay, putting aside the OBGYN, did you discuss with Miss Lively her experience with the birthing scene? No. Did you ever discuss with Miss Lively after the birthing scene concluded that then it cuts? It's done. We're going to go now to the 2 pages that Wayfair submitted, and this is also from Anne Carroll's deposition. It starts on page 109. And her only response was, I think having to do something to do with the birthing scene. And my response was, I don't think you need any extra, visuals or, you're a mother. You have 4 kids of your own. I don't see why he would do that or why he felt he needed to do that in conjunction with the scene. You commented to Miss Lively that as a mother herself, you didn't understand why Mr. Heath needed to show her content of a video of a birthing scene. Objection, correct. When Mr. Heath approached Miss Lively with his phone, could anyone tell what Mr. Heath was about to show Miss Lively? No. In other words, you had testified that Mr. Heath asked Miss Lively if he could show her his phone, correct? Then it skips. Did you receive call sheets every day? Yes. During the filming? And did you ever notice that on the call sheets there was a number, an HR hotline number? I did not notice that. Did you ever call that number? Objection, objection. Did you ever report inappropriate conduct to anyone connected with the film It Ends With Us? Objection. I only spoke with my colleague, Miss Baker, and Miss Lively, yes. As you sit here today, prior to the end of the first phase of filming in June 2023, do you know whether Miss Lively ever lodged a complaint of any inappropriate conduct on the set of the film It Ends With Us? And then it stops. I just quickly want to show you the call sheet that they've provided, and they've provided a few. This looks exactly like any call sheet I've ever received. You should have, in the top left, the title of the production, when the crew time starts, the rehearsals, and then the shoot call. So the crew usually shows up a bit earlier than the cast, depending on how much work is done. I guess Blake needed over 3 hours in hair and makeup, so she might have shown up before the crew, but usually the crew is there first. You have the director, the producers, the executive producers, the associate producers, and the production supervisor. So any of those people on the list she could have went to, including the production supervisor, which was Jill. Okay. Then you have the weather. It usually has as well the closest hospital near you, which I don't see on this sheet particularly right now. And then you have, so they do have safety bulletins every day that they put up. So today's safety bulletin was on atmosphere. They have where your green room is, and then all of the actors and what they'd like to accomplish. So you know ahead of time what you're filming that day. So on this one, they were doing lily blooms, and they were doing the winter of lily blooms. So this was all a lily bloom day. That's nice for block shooting, so you don't have to change locations. It's really great. But what I do want to point you to is this part right here. What does this say? Safety hotline, ladies and gentlemen. It's right there. Safety hotline. It was there the whole time. So all these people, it's right here. The Vigilant EHS Anonymous Safety Hotline. So they could have also called here as well as spoke to any of these people. They're all here. These are all your production assistants and people doing it. It does have here a production office, I'm sure with a phone number that they could have called. So there's lots, but look right here. I mean, it's highlighted, for crying out loud, the Vigilant hotline for any complaints, right? It's anonymous. And I hope to be getting one of those call sheets soon. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't look like any of these women have any idea what happened that day. Everything's very different. And we don't get the full depositions, which is really irritating because they just look so cherry picked, right? Because of course they're only going to use what's good for them. But the fact that there's 3 people, well, 4, because Jamie Heath as well, and Alex Sachs and Justin Baldoni were outside of the trailer as well. And they said they went, they knocked. Jamie heard come in. He opened the door. He saw Blake. He thought she was breastfeeding because she was sitting there. And she said, turn around, face the wall to talk to me, whatever. That's his version. Blake's version is he came in, like what we read. He came in and she said, I'm not done yet. We'll have the meeting later. He said it has to happen now. And she told him to face the wall. Okay. Then you have Vivian Baker saying, oh, we didn't give him permission to come at all. We were saying, no, don't come in. He came in. He kept the door open. I threw a cloth over Blake. Then she doesn't remember anything else. Then you have the other girl, CARROLL, saying that he wasn't told to come in at all. We were saying, whoa. He didn't knock. He didn't do anything. And Blake was standing and she threw a cape over her. So, I mean, what's going on? I mean, all of y'all got at least got your story straight, you know? It sounds kind of weird to have 3 completely different stories of whether Blake was sitting, whether she was standing, whether she was doing this, whether she was doing, I don't know. Do I think that that's a very uncomfortable thing? Yeah. But let me tell you, the last time I was doing a commercial, we were in the wardrobe trailer and there was a lot of us, right? So there was only like 5 or 6 changing rooms and they were just like makeshift with a little thing, right? And we had been on set for damn near like 14 hours or something. So when it was time to get wardrobe done, no one was waiting in the line. We went and we were, if the change rooms were full, right there in the trailer. Tons of actors together, just changing. I'm not saying everyone needs to be like that. Of course, everyone's level is, you know, comfortable or not comfortable. But it's not like then anyone went and said that, you know, we were violating them by changing or unchanging or I was. I mean, do I think this made Blake Lively uncomfortable? Yeah, probably. It's an uncomfortable situation. Of course, accidents happen. Heath heard come in, so he went in. Blake Lively didn't tell him to get the fuck out. She was like, face the wall to talk to me, which he did. And I guess at some point he turned around and said something to her and she noticed. So it's kind of like what she should have done or what she could have done is stopped what she was doing, had the conversation, he leaves, finishes up, or been like, no, I told you to get out of here. I'll meet you there, and then left. But to not say anything, to continue the conversation and then hold it over Jamie's head multiple times, over and over and over. And he apologized so many times he hadn't realized. And then Blake Lively even making a joke to him about it. Oh gosh, I have hiccups. Even Blake Lively making a joke to him like, don't worry, bud. I know you weren't trying to like cop a look. And Jamie was like, oh my gosh, no, I wasn't. And she held that over him every meeting for months. And then almost a year later at the January 4th meeting. And now 2.5 years later when she files her CRD complaint. Was it probably an uncomfortable accident? Yes. Did Jamie Heath apologize and it never happened again? Yes. So it's like, I don't know. But these women, they got to get their story straight if this thing is going to trial, you know? Meet me in the next video. We're going to be doing Leslie Sloan's deposition. I'll see you there. I hope you're having a good day. Love you. Bye.